This is the Podcast Lab. Subscribe now and never miss an episode.
Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're going to be tackling a topic that I know a lot of you are interested in: building confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something we all struggle with from time to time, right?
Absolutely. And to get to the bottom of it, we've got a pretty interesting mix of sources. We're looking at this book, Building Confidence: How to Believe in Yourself When No One Else Does.
Catchy title.
It is. And some practical advice from Skills You Need. Their website's got a ton of great stuff.
Ugh.
And we're even going to be tapping into some wisdom from motivational speaker Jay Shetty.
Yeah, his YouTube channel is really popular.
It is. So the mission here, if you will, is to give you some seriously practical insights on how to build that confidence, even when, self-doubt creeps in or the world throws shade your way. Sound good?
Yeah, it's like a plan.
Okay. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is confidence? We hear that word thrown around all the time, but what does it actually mean?
Well, the book Building Confidence and a lot of other sources, they generally define it as a state of mind. Basically, it's about trusting in your abilities, your judgments, and your value.
Okay, so it's not just about feeling good about yourself. It's about actually believing in yourself.
Exactly. And Skills You Need makes a really good point about this. They say confidence isn't about being perfect.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Right. It's actually about knowing how to problem solve and make decisions even when you make mistakes.
Which, let's face it, we all do.
All the time.
So it's more about how you handle those screw-ups than about never messing up in the first place.
Exactly. And that's where I think Jay Shetty's advice comes in really handy. He talks about shifting the focus inward, away from constantly seeking external validation. He suggests asking yourself, how do I feel I look in this? Instead
of constantly asking other people for reassurance.
Exactly. Because when you're always looking for validation from others, you're giving away your power.
I've noticed that when I get caught up in what other people might think, my confidence totally plummets. It's like I'm handing over my power to their opinions.
Yeah, and that's the danger of seeking external validation. It makes your confidence really fragile and dependent on things you can't control. True confidence has to come from within.
So how do we build that inner confidence if, we're starting from a place of, low self-esteem? Because Skills You Need also mentions that past experiences can play a big role in our confidence levels.
They do. And Jay Shetty has this great way of putting it. He talks about the gifts and gaps from your upbringing, those experiences that shape how you see yourself.
It's like some experiences build you up and others maybe kind of chip away at your self-belief.
Exactly. So it's about acknowledging both the positive and the negative and understanding how they've shaped your beliefs. What messages did you receive growing up? What situations made you feel super confident, and what situations, kind of knocked you down a bit?
It's like taking an emotional inventory of your past to see where those confidence leaks might be coming from.
That's a great way to put it. And once you've identified those patterns, you can start to challenge them. Skills You Need talks about how low confidence often comes from what we think others will think of us.
But often we don't actually know what they're thinking. We're just making assumptions.
Right. And those assumptions might not even be true. So it's about replacing those assumptions with actual evidence.
So it's about replacing those assumptions with evidence, with a more realistic and compassionate view of yourself.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. So how do we actually start to build confidence? Are there specific things we can do?
Oh, yeah. There are tons of practical tips out there.
Well, Skills You Need really stresses the importance of planning and preparation.
Right. If you're feeling nervous about, say, a job interview, they say prepare. Practice your answers. Research the company even. Plan your outfit and how you're going to get there so there are no surprises.
Minimize those unknowns.
Right. The more prepared you are, the more confident you'll feel going into any situation. It's like that saying, failing to plan is planning to fail.
So true. And speaking of preparation, Skills You Need also talks about the power of knowledge and training. The more you know about something, the more confident you'll feel tackling it.
Makes sense. And it doesn't have to be this huge pursuit of expertise. It could be just learning a new recipe or picking up a new hobby.
Yeah, even just reading a book on something that interests you.
Totally. It's about expanding your horizons and, like Jay Shetty says, constantly learning. He says, the more you experience, the more you explore, the more you allow yourself to be exposed to, the more likely you're going to find something that you want to turn into expertise.
I like that. But sometimes even when you know a lot about something, you can still feel intimidated to actually do it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can read all the books and watch all the tutorials, but when it comes to actually taking action, you might freeze up.
Because knowledge without action is just potential.
Right. It's only when you combine that knowledge with experience that you really build confidence. Skills you need suggest breaking down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Yeah, and Jay Shetty has this great tip, he says, to schedule time for experimenting with new skills. Like, dedicate the next 4 weekends to trying something new.
Anything.
Yeah, because it's in the doing that we really gain that confidence. It's like learning to ride a bike. You can read all the manuals in the world, but until you get on that bike and wobble your way down the street, you won't really believe you can do it.
Love that analogy.
So it's all about embracing those wobbly moments, those stumbles along the way. They're not setbacks. They're part of the process.
Exactly. And speaking of stumbles, how do we deal with criticism without letting it crush our confidence?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is. Skills You Need has some really good advice on this, they say, to try to see criticism as a learning opportunity, not a personal attack.
Yeah, that shift in perspective is huge. Because it's so easy to get defensive, like, hey, I worked hard on this and you're saying it's not good enough.
Yeah, but if you can reframe it as feedback, it becomes a lot less personal.
Right. And Jay Shetty talks about the importance of being compassionate with yourself. You know, it's okay to not know everything.
It really is. Confidence is about being open to learning and growing, which means being willing to receive feedback, even when it's not, glowing praise.
Okay, so we've talked about building confidence in ourselves, but I'm curious about how confidence plays into our interactions with other people.
That's a great question. And it's something that this podcast planning document, Building Confidence, really got me thinking about.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Well, you know how we often hear that confidence is attractive?
Yeah, it's like one of those universally appealing qualities.
It is. And it got me thinking about what Robert Greene discusses in his book, The Art of Seduction.
Oh, okay, now we're talking seduction, huh?
Well, Greene argues that seduction is a form of power, and confidence plays a huge role in it. He says that truly confident individuals can make others feel seen and understood, which creates a powerful connection.
So we're not talking about manipulation or cheesy pickup lines here.
Not at all. Greene emphasizes that genuine seduction is about being present, attentive, and genuinely interested in the other person. He has this great line where he says it's about making them feel like they've had 2 martinis just by being in your presence.
Okay, that's a vivid image.
Right. Relaxed, comfortable, and completely engaged.
And it makes sense. We're all drawn to people who make us feel good about ourselves.
Exactly. And Greene makes this fascinating distinction between vulnerability and insecurity. He says that vulnerability can be incredibly seductive, but insecurity is a major turnoff.
Because vulnerability is about being open and authentic, while insecurity is all about self-doubt and neediness.
Right. And Greene believes that one of the keys to seduction is being comfortable with your own vulnerabilities. It's about being able to laugh at yourself, admit when you're wrong, and not take yourself too seriously.
So it's not about pretending to be perfect. It's about embracing those imperfections and letting other people see the real you.
Exactly. It's about having the confidence to show up as your authentic self, flaws and all.
And maybe that's what makes people truly magnetic and engaging. Because people can sense authenticity. It's like that saying, people don't connect with perfection, they connect with vulnerability.
Absolutely. So maybe the key to building lasting confidence isn't about building walls, but about building bridges.
Bridges to ourselves, to others, and to the challenges we face in life.
Beautifully said. It makes you wonder, could approaching things, challenges, with more vulnerability and genuine interest in others, could that actually boost your confidence? In unexpected ways?
It's almost like flipping the script, right? Instead of putting on that confident front.
Totally. What if true confidence is about being more open, more authentic?
More raw.
Yeah. Showing up as you are, flaws and all.
And maybe that's what makes people, magnetic. You can sense that authenticity a mile away.
It's true. It's like that saying you connect with vulnerability, not perfection.
I love that. So maybe it's not about building walls, but building bridges.
Bridges to yourself, to others, to the challenges.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. But building those bridges, it requires a certain level of self-awareness,
Yeah.
right? Remember what Jay Shetty said about working through your past, understanding those gifts and gaps.
Yeah, like those experiences, they create a blueprint for how we see ourselves, how we see the world.
Exactly. And sometimes that blueprint needs a little renovation.
A little updating.
Yeah.
Mm.
And once we've done that internal work, then we can start to focus on those external actions. Remember those practical tips from Skills You Need?
Planning, preparation.
Yes. Knowledge and training. These are all tools,
Yeah.
like building blocks.
Yeah, foundation.
Exactly. And the more we practice, the stronger that foundation gets, the bigger challenges we can take on.
Step outside that comfort zone.
Exactly. But just like, working out a muscle, there will be moments of discomfort, those moments where you just want to give up.
And that's where self-care comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what building confidence and Skills You Need both emphasized. Physical exercise, mental wellness, boundaries.
Like giving yourself the fuel to keep going.
Absolutely. And remember what Skills You Need said about remaining calm.
Oh, yeah.
Learning relaxation techniques.
Yeah.
Like deep breathing or meditation.
Because when you're calm, you can think more clearly, make better decisions.
Exactly. Handle those challenges with grace, I guess you could say.
So it all comes back to that idea, confidence is a journey, not a destination.
Right. There will be ups and downs, moments of doubt, moments of triumph.
But if we embrace the process, learn from those mistakes, we get there.
We arrive at that, unshakable self-belief.
And maybe that journey, it leads us to a place where we can, confidently embrace our vulnerabilities, connect with others on a deeper level.
And maybe even use that confidence to, make a positive impact on the world.
That's a powerful thought. But I have to admit, this whole conversation about confidence and seduction, it's really got me thinking.
It is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. It's such a different way of looking at things. And it makes me wonder, are there other, unexpected connections? Other ways confidence shows up in our lives that we haven't even considered?
Well, that's the beauty of exploring these topics, right?
Yeah.
The more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know.
And those discoveries, who knows, maybe they'll lead to even greater levels of confidence than we thought possible.
Maybe so. But for now, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay, let's recap what we've learned. So we've talked about confidence as a state of mind, a skill, a way of being in the world.
And something we cultivate through action, self-awareness, a commitment to growth.
We've also looked at the importance of self-care, resilience, and even embracing those vulnerabilities.
And we even touched on that fascinating link between confidence and seduction, suggesting that true confidence comes from, a place of authenticity.
Real connection with other people. But one thing that really stands out for me is that that confidence is a journey, not a destination.
It's not about reaching this perfect state of self-belief, but about the process of getting there.
Learning, growing, becoming more confident every step of the way.
And that's something we can all do, no matter where we're starting from.
Now, before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought to ponder. Remember when we were talking about Jay Shetty's advice? That question, how do I feel I look in this?
Yeah, about shifting that focus from external validation to internal self-assessment.
Right. And it got me thinking, what if we applied that question to how we interact with others?
Interesting. You mean instead of what do they think of me, as how do I feel about them?
Exactly. Because maybe, just maybe, the key to building true confidence is shifting that focus away from ourselves and onto other people.
From self-consciousness to genuine curiosity and connection.
Now, that's something to think about. It's like instead of trying to, impress everyone, you're just trying to understand them.
Yeah.
And maybe in that process of really connecting, we find a deeper confidence in ourselves.
It's a really interesting thought and one worth exploring further, for sure.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, I want to challenge our listeners to try something new this week.
Ooh, I love a good challenge.
Right.
What do you got?
Okay. So I challenge you to approach every interaction, every single one, with that sense of genuine curiosity.
Okay, so whether it's with a coworker, a loved one, or just
even a stranger at the coffee shop?
Yeah.
Just approach them with that curiosity.
Instead of worrying about, what they think of you,
Yeah.
focus on just learning about them.
Learning about their experiences and their perspectives. Yeah.
Ask questions and really listen.
Yeah. See if you can find that point of connection.
It might feel a little awkward at first, especially if you're used to putting up that front.
Yeah, that confident persona.
Right. But But I think the more you practice this, the more you'll realize that
true confidence isn't about
projecting an image.
Yeah.
It's more about letting go of the image.
Yeah. And embracing, you know,
Yeah, that messy, beautiful reality.
of just being human and connecting with other humans.
And you never know. You might discover something about yourself you didn't even know.
Yeah, some hidden depths.
Some hidden depths, exactly.
So go out there, be curious, be vulnerable.
See what happens.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into building confidence. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.